here's Brody Brazil.
Well, this might be a problem. And I'll be honest, all along, I've been thinking that the Utah Hockey Club was doing all the right things. They bought the Arizona Coyotes and relocated them, but they kept the name Coyotes down in Arizona. Very respectful of that fan base and the future of hockey in the Valley. So then they go with the temporary name Utah Hockey Club, knowing it was only going to be for 1 year. They were going to let the fans choose the next name. And obviously, since then, Utah Yeti has definitely emerged as a fan favorite frontrunner, myself included. I've been already calling them that in videos. Yeah, they'll be called the Utah Yeti. Don't even worry about it. Except for there's a problem with this name and the trademarking process. And I have to say, I love hockey, obviously, and I'm also a customer of the Yeti brand. They make tremendous drinkware products and beyond. I've got a lot of those tumblers and ramblers and all the different products they're called. I love it. Coffee, water, you name it, I probably drink it out of a Yeti. But going back to the hockey club, there's now a report from KSL Television in Salt Lake City that says they may not be able to call their team the Yeti when it's finally time to go to that permanent name. Earlier this month, the trademark for Utah Yetis, plural, was refused by the United States Patent and Trademark Office due to a likelihood of confusion. Trademark Act Section 2D bars registration of an applied for mark that is so similar to a registered mark that it is likely consumers would be confused, mistaken, or deceived as to the commercial source of the goods and or services of the parties, a non-final action issued on January 9th said. Basically, you can't take something that's already been registered and trademarked and then impede on that. And that's what the Trademark and Patent and Trademark Office of the United States is saying here. Simply a likelihood of confusion. Even though one of these companies would be making products and the other one would be trying to win hockey games, like there is actually some crossover. And for as much as you can initially say, I don't agree with that, there is kind of something to this here. In the present case, the wording Utah in the applied for mark is merely descriptive or generic for applicants' goods. Thus, this wording is less significant in terms of affecting the mark's commercial impression and renders the word Yetis the more dominant element of the mark, the non-final action said. Okay, so it's a non-final action, but it's basically saying good luck trying to appeal this or get this to go your way. Yes, they're saying that Utah Yetis put together is something different, but the fact that Yetis is still part of it, it's just too close to the original Yeti brand of products. No, Utah's NHL team isn't a cooler or drinkware company, but sells similar things. And that's where we start to get into this gray area, right? Yeti isn't a hockey team, but its trademark includes a number of things that a hockey team would like to sell. So there's at least some overlap there, according to this KSL Television report. And I think it's plain for all of us to see. But what about making Yeti plural? Does that change it, right? Because Yeti versus Yetis, we're getting very in the weeds here. An applied for mark that is the singular or plural form of a registered mark is essentially identical in sound, appearance, meaning, and commercial impression, and thus the marks are confusingly similar, the action said. So what does it mean? Where do we stand? The team has 3 months from January 9th to respond with further evidence and arguments to support its claim for the new trademark. It will also have to fix some bookkeeping things, according to KSL Television. So where does that leave us? I mean, the immediate thought is, what about the final 6? Like the team narrowed it down to, okay, this is what we're going to do. And we'll give you updates on all of the different trademark and patent filings that the team has had to do to even maybe move forward with some of these names. I guess they could keep the Utah Hockey Club name, or the Utah Outlaws, or Venom, or Mammoth, or Blizzard. Those were all final 6 names considered by the franchise and the fan base. There were a lot of them that were eliminated. I don't know. Could you go back to one of these teams? The Utah Powder, Squall, Mountaineers, Hive, Freeze, Swarm, Frost, Glaciers, Caribou, Ice Blast, Canyons, Fury, or the Utah Black Diamonds. Hope you like skiing. Anyway, these names were eliminated. Who knows if any of them come back. Back to the KSL Television report. It had updates on all of the other names and Potential outcomes for them in terms of the U.S. Trademark and Patent Office. The Utah Blizzard and Utah Venom. Both of these trademark applications were also refused due to a likelihood of confusion, with the Trademark Office pointing out that many of the same issues the team has with the trademarking of Yetis. So is there a Blizzard and Venom property that already exists? I'm not so certain what the tie is there, but this is what's coming back from the Patent and Trademark Office. The Utah Hockey Club. Now, wait, why couldn't they just keep that? They claimed this. That is their identity right now. This one was refused on the principal register due to the applied for mark is primarily geographically descriptive of the origin of applicants' goods and or services. In simpler terms, you just can't trademark Utah. Like Utah is the primary part of this. Utah Hockey Club. And they're saying you can't trademark Utah. However, I do want to point out there is a caveat to this one. There's also kind of a workaround because they've already been using the name and it is their current identity. They can file a quick appeal and probably win this one and continue calling themselves the Utah Hockey Club. But is that what everybody wants forever? That was promised as only temporary. The Utah Mammoth. There were no conflicting marks. Oh my goodness, finally one you can use. No conflicting marks found here, but some bookkeeping will need to be cleared up on the application, a proper address, making the disclaimer that the team has no claim to Utah, like they're not trying to trademark Utah, just the Utah Mammoth part of it. The Mammoth non-final action was sent on November 5th, so the response deadline is in just a couple weeks. If that deadline passes without a response, the application will be abandoned, right? So if they do want to grab on to the Utah Mammoth, they're going to have to make a decision on this pretty quick. And that kind of leads me to the background of what's going on here. Look, they're in the middle of a hockey season. They have to renovate their whole arena to better accommodate hockey sightlines and seating. And now they've got this name problem, which was hopefully not going to be a big deal, but eventually it might be. Utah Outlaws, that's another one. The Utah Outlaws application also doesn't have issues, apart from some clerical things. The non-final action was sent on January 9th, though, so a little more waiting to see what happens with this one. All right, that's the update on all the names. Now let's get to some of my takeaways here. Going back to the actual root of this issue here, right? You're infringing upon the company Yeti. I wonder if the actual company Yeti really cares about this, or if they're just being protected by the Patent and Trademark Office of the United States, which is their job, right, to protect, intellectual property of somebody else. But I wonder if you were the hockey club and you approached the company Yeti and said, "Hey, let's work this out. Can we both stay in our lane? Is there room for both of us here on this highway?" And if you're the company Yeti, isn't this free advertising? And isn't it really little confusion? Now, I do understand when you get into the product part of it, and yeah, they're going to sell a water bottle that says Utah Yeti on it. People are going to say, that's not a Yeti. There is going to be, but there's not a lot of things. What else does the company Yeti sell? Some blankets, some camping stuff. They're not selling hockey jerseys. They're not, maybe they are selling shirts and merchandise and hats maybe. But it should be obvious if you're the Utah Yeti Hockey Club, if you're the hockey team, you're not going to try and match the font and the look of Yeti, and you're probably going to have a mascot that goes with it, and you're probably always going to have Utah with Yeti. My point is maybe these two parties, although they're independently apart right now and the trademark office is in the middle, maybe they can kind of go around that wall, talk to each other, work something out, strike a deal. I don't know if the U.S. government has any room to intervene after that. What'll happen if the hockey team has to name their team something else permanently for the long term and it disappoints? Because the fans right now are fired up for Yeti. This is what they want. Not everybody, but this is what the majority wants. And now you can't deliver it to them. That's frustrating. And the voting process, I admire that about the team. Again, I admire that they kept the name Coyotes in Arizona for any future purposes there. They decided to go with this temporary thing. They didn't want to rush this. I totally understand that. Now they're in this process. They let the fans vote it down to the final 6. Well, most of those final 6 don't even work necessarily. Mammoth does, apparently. But this is the last problem that the hockey franchise needs right now. Hockey club, franchise, whatever. This is the last thing they need. They have so many other things going on. The naming part should have been the easiest part. The hardest part about it should have been getting everybody on the same page. Hey, do we all agree? Is this, we want to go with this? Okay, Utah Yeti, done. File it, done. But it's kind of a huge deal right now that they can't directly go to that because of my favorite drinkware company. I think they're my favorite drinkware company. If they want to send me some merch, I'm glad to. I mean, I have some of it already. I'm not doing free product placement here, but I am a big supporter of Yeti, and I love hockey, and I love hockey teams, and I hope this works out somehow, some way. Look, this is a potential branding opportunity if you do it right. You got to do it right, and this might take some extra time. In my opinion, it would be worth the extra time to do this right, to get everybody on the same page, and to eventually call them the Utah Yeti. Here I am at the end of January 2025. I had to look at the calendar just to make sure. Here I am at the end of the month. I'll hope to look back on this video years down the road and say, remember when that was a problem? Remember when they almost couldn't take the name Yeti? Well, hopefully they'll finally get that done in months and years to come. That's it for this video. Thumbs up down below. Greatly helps me, this video, and this channel. Also, don't forget to go down there and subscribe so I can definitely see you back here next time.